The Peter and Paul Fortress is considered the first building of the city. The day it was founded, May 27, 1703, is considered to be the birthday of St. Petersburg. The place for the fortress was very fortunate. It is clearly visible on a map that here the Neva River divides into two branches and then flows into the Finnish Gulf. This meant that on whichever arm a Swedish ship were to enter the Neva, it would immediately find itself under the fire of cannons from Peter and Paul's fortress. Peter I was there when the first stone of the fortress was laid. The Tsar wasn't afraid of getting his hands dirty. He took a spade himself and started digging. When the first stone was laid, a miracle happened. An eagle came down from the sky. It soared over the island for a while, and everyone around saw it as a good omen. The Tsar Peter cut down 2 young birch trees, tied their tops together, and stuck them into the soft soil. At this place was to be built the gate of the fortress. The swirling eagle flew down and sat on that wooden arch. Peter was rather pleased by this, and so he took the eagle from the birches, tied its claws up with a handkerchief, and let it down onto his arm. Probably this eagle story is just a beautiful fable. Eagles are not often found in this area, but many people suppose that it was a tame eagle, which had perhaps escaped from the departed Swedes, and when it saw people building the fortress, it trustingly came down to them. One way or another, this is one of those beautiful legends about the city. The fortress, meanwhile, continued to be built. The main building on its territory was the Peter and Paul Cathedral, founded in 1712. This date wasn't chosen accidentally. It was in this year that St. Petersburg officially became the capital, and the capital city needed a cathedral. Domenico Trezzini was appointed as the architect, the first architect of St. Petersburg. Peter, however, didn't live to see the cathedral finished, as he died in January 1725, and was buried in the unfinished cathedral. It was later consecrated during the reign of Anna Ioannovna in 1733. The cathedral became the burial vault for Russian monarchs, where emperors and members of their families are laid to rest. The Peter and Paul Cathedral still remains the tallest building in St. Petersburg. It is 122.5 meters tall, and the elegant spire is crowned by an angel with a cross. It soars above the city and is the keeper of St. Petersburg. There is a belief that as long as the angel soars above the city, St. Petersburg will be safe. Even during the lengthy blockade, the angel remained there. It was not taken down from the spire, but was covered with a camouflage net. Thus, St. Petersburg is the only capital in the world that did not surrender to the enemy. It is a city that was never conquered. Nevertheless, the fortress lost its military purpose rather quickly. The Swedes retreated, and St. Petersburg was no longer under threat. Gradually, the fortress turned into a political prison, a kind of Russian Bastille, the most horrific political prison in Russia. No escapes were made from this prison, and so city dwellers used to say that there were only 3 roads from Peter and Paul Fortress: hard labor, the cemetery, or a mental hospital. Inside the prison, the Decembrists, Petroshevists, and even members of the provisional Russian government were kept. The first prisoner of the Peter and Paul Fortress, however, was Prince Alexei, Peter's poor son. Nowadays, the fortress is a museum, and its dark walls don't seem quite as gloomy to people anymore. On the beach in front of the bastions, people of St. Petersburg sunbathe and jokingly call themselves prisoners of the Peter and Paul Fortress. Its once frightening silhouette has become one of the main symbols of the city of St. Petersburg.